Completely started
All
backing away right away.
All right, there we go.
Like she ran on like, you know, being
All right.
good to the teachers and being good to the, you know, the city unions, and was not, you know, instantly she tried to screw him over and, you know,
Yeah,
give
yo,
the
Matt. All right,
developer,
we're good.
you know,
We're live now. We're simulcasting now too.
We're simulcasting?
Yeah, we're simulcasting. The first time that we're simulcasting, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and we're on Twitch right now, bro. Whoa. How's that?
What's up?
It's gonna, and we are glad to break in our restream with our special guest tonight, Maria Guido. How you doing?
Yeah.
Good. We were discussing about if we should put my last name or not, because I never really like use my last name because people always they're like, that ain't really your last name, bro. That's not really your I'm like, no, it really is. They're like, no, you use that as like an alias or something. I was like, well, one, I don't need what are you talking about? But yes, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
she got that nice mic.
Yeah. And we're just talking about that. I mean, we want to get a little bit more of an upgrade with you over there, Matt, because I know you're still working off the headphones.
Yeah, look at my headphones. I thought I sounded good, but all these people with the mics sound a lot better.
Well, my friend, that I'm his podcast that I'm sometimes co-host on, he has a hold mic, which I like, but then I hate it because if I want to hit my vape or something,
right?
You know what I mean? I'm making all types of noise and shit.
I want to check our levels on the stream.
Yeah, check it. Okay. Yeah, check it out. See, actually, I should have tagged you when I titled this thing, Maria, but yeah, we're still trying to get this thing all figured out.
Oh, we can chat.
I think we sound good.
Yeah, I know we sound pretty decent.
All right.
That theme is pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, we put that one together. When did we start using it? I don't remember. We figured we needed some kind of a theme to roll in on, and then it just kind of came together after we started seeing all the stuff going down on the streets as far as the protesting. So then we went ahead and said you know what, we need something representative of that, so that's what we went with.
Yeah,
but now I hate it because that Portland guy turned out to be such a shitless.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was one thing.
He's prominently featured in it.
I mean, it was still pretty fucking metal at that point when he was getting hit by the cops, just taking the shots, and then afterwards where he's just flipping the fucking cops off. But
what's crazy that I can't even remember that so much has happened.
Yeah,
I know, right?
That I'm just wow, that wasn't too long ago. There's so many things
really
that happened this past year.
It's crazy
it's a lot of stuff that happened in a. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. All this stuff happened during a whole lockdown, and there's just so much shit that's been fluctuating throughout the course of the entire year. It's been I don't know, just it seems really on brand for 2020 for the year to have seen as long as it is.
Oh yeah, that's what my one friend is dude, Trump's gonna end up winning this election. I'm like, you know what? Honestly, nothing would surprise me anymore at this point in 2020. A UFO could crash into my car right now, or into my house.
Well, I kept saying that, a few polls were really bad for Trump. I was like, oh, he's going to do a false flag. He's going to do, an alien false flag. I thought that was his only shot, right? Those polls fucked me up. I was believing them. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
He's really he's really far ahead in there. So I thought Trump was going to get desperate, but he didn't have to, right?
Well,
like, I'm kind of amazed at how close it was.
Well, I mean, yeah, right before Matt, remember we were trying to do like a whole predictive model of this shit, and then we looked at the polls. I mean, we were way far ahead, and then by the end of it, we're like, nah, it's not gonna be like that. He's gonna make up that gap. There's gonna be a little bit of it's gonna be like 5 points off, or at least as far off as it was last time. Yeah, and then yeah, I mean, by the end, what did we end up with? We said Biden was gonna get like 299.
We were pretty close. Yeah,
we're pretty decent according to since we didn't really fall completely into the polling.
Yeah, we were only counting legal votes, so that's where our model was off.
That's where your model. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I knew that it was going to come this close. I knew that he would. I knew that once COVID got to like a certain point, that I think once Trump got COVID, it was like, all right, Biden has a chance. Like, I did not really feel strongly, obviously, about the Biden. Who did, right?
No, no.
I knew it was going to come down that close. I had a feeling it was going to come down that close. And it made myself mad because I knew it was going to come down that close, but I still ended up getting mad throughout the week because I was like, you motherfucker, like, what the fuck? Like, how can you do this again? We told you. Like, how can you do this? But yeah, so I mean, I thought it was going to be really close. There was a point in time where I did not think Biden was going to pull it off.
Did you see the whole Red Mirage scenario playing out the way it did?
I don't know. I mean, I really didn't. I tried to avoid. Honestly, I tried to avoid as much of it as I could, but you couldn't, right? Like, but I still think that the Democrats, I think without COVID, they would have lost. Trump would have won.
Oh yeah.
Without COVID, Trump would have destroyed them.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is like a win at all. I think that Trump lost. He lost. Like, Trump lost, but the Democrats didn't win.
Well, look at the down ballot situation that they're dealing with now. I mean, the lost seats in the House, they have to pull off a miracle in Georgia to even tie in the Senate. And if they don't get that, I mean, everything that Biden tries to do that's not executive order and doesn't get shot down by the Supreme Court, he's not going to get anything done. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be.
And I was talking about that on my friend's podcast the other day because we were talking about the issues between why I thought Bernie would have been a better candidate for down ticket progressives. And I said it was because when we canvassed for him in the primary, we also focused on down ticket progressives. Yeah. We focused on down ticket progressives in 2017 when it was an off year. You know what I mean? Yeah. In 2018. Like, we did a lot of that work. You know what I mean? And I think that Sanders would have been more successful. Listen, would he have gotten a lot of like shit from the Republicans? Absolutely. Would he have had to concede some things?
Explained it better though. Like, it's like the people didn't believe Biden when he was like, I'm not a socialist or whatever. Like, I don't even know any socialists. But like, what that says is the people they just kind of thought that, okay, you might not think you are, but I think a lot of them believe that he was like a puppet, like that stuff, and that he was just like the figurehead of the party that was radical.
Right.
So they don't understand what socialism is for the most part, right?
No.
They think it's like authoritarian rule where everyone's going to be in gulags and shit. You have to have somebody up there who can defend the principle of, not even socialism, but like liberalism, like government, like Keynesian economics, right? You need to have somebody who can be like, actually, I think it'll be a lot better for the economy if we have government doing X, Y, and Z. And the people know that intuitively. It's the label, right? Because it's such a scare word. So like if you had Bernie up there being like, yeah, actually, I am a socialist because that's a good thing, right? These guys are socialists too, but they're the bad kind, right? Actually explaining everything. Instead, you have Joe Biden who just like seems like he's full of shit. Like, that was what I kept saying the whole time. It's like,
Right,
Biden
and-
was a terrible candidate, not just because he's old and he has shitty policies, but because he can't talk right. He can't argue. He can't, like, explain himself. He can't, like, make a case for the policies he's pushing. So even if you did get him to say a few things about policy, he didn't explain it very well, and he just sounded like he was full of shit most of the time. You know,
Yeah.
like, that soul of the country stuff was a turnoff. People didn't like that. That
No,
actually
nobody
hurt
likes
turnout.
the virtue signaling. It's not an effective way to communicate. And you know, what we saw after with Biden winning, you still see right wingers talking about, oh, they're gonna send us to the camps now. They're gonna get rid of our religion in school. They're gonna make it illegal. You know, they're just gonna be mandatory that we're atheists and with especially after with AOC coming out and saying a few things here and there. It's I saw one where they try to acronym her name as to like everyone's a communist or something like that.
Which I'm
100%
glad
right,
she
though.
came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been killing it all week, just like spitting fire.
Right.
And like,
Because
she
that
should-
is
she
why
should be making
I
the list.
supported her.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Like, we should
supported
be
her to
making
do
lists.
that.
Yes.
like just listening to Kaylee's press conference yesterday, she sounds like a fucking psycho, and the people are like, they've been destroyed by that, like the right-wing propaganda, so they probably believe everything she's saying, right? Like all that nonsense she keeps talking about like the framing of everything, like, oh, the court ruled in our favor and we were not allowed to watch the count. And she's saying this like all these instances have been debunked and ruled on by the courts, and she's still getting away with just saying it as if it's fact. Like, that's not good. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good sign that she's allowed to go on there and just tell those kinds of lies and have nobody be able to check her. Like, I'm glad that the network stopped showing it, but you know, the base heard it by now, right? They know exactly what she said and they believe it.
No, exactly.
Fucked. That's what I'm saying. It's like, not only is it bad to have Biden up there because he's vague and senile, it's bad because he can't fight back. None of them do. Like, we have this leadership where these old, like 80-year-old, they're, even if they did once have good policies, they don't anymore because they're just like lazy, you know, like old people are just tired and they just don't want to be bothered. Like, you see, you know, over and over again. And then Clyburn this week is just like, I can't even believe he would go on TV and say shit like that and get away with it. Like, he just sounds like a dumb old man, right? Like, he doesn't sound smart, doesn't sound like a good leader.
No, and that was the most frustrating thing doing all the election coverage. They just jump to Jim Clyburn and just take a couple minutes to like blow him a little bit. Like, oh, he saved the Joe Biden campaign. He saved the country. This is why we're gonna win, because Jim Clyburn intervened and defeated socialism all single-handedly.
Which had nothing to do with that. Like, you know, look, Sanders, I'm not going to say that Sanders' campaign was perfect. I'm not, right? But they did screw us over. They did, you know what I mean? Like, they did screw us over. COVID set us back. I don't know why, you know, he decided to suspend whatever. But, like, the only reason that Joe Biden is president-elect is because of COVID-19.
Yes.
Point blank,
only
period.
circumstances.
That's it. That's it. Because even though people said, well, no, because Republicans were going for Biden over Trump, not enough. Not the ones that the Democrats thought were going to go. The number that they said were going to go. That they said, we don't need progressives. We don't need you. We don't want you.
Latinos aren't part of our winning strategy. So that was another one.
Latinos aren't part of our winning strategy.
And they lost on those. And then, but to the point that you're making, you know, Lincoln Project got, what was it, $60-something million to go ahead and to $67 million to try and win over moderate Republicans. And then the percentages didn't really factor out into the amount of money that was put in to them. And then
they're trying to spin that the opposite way, though. They're trying to lie about that. I saw some op-ed last night. This asshole Liam Kerr. I don't know if you've seen him around before, but he's terrible. He's like a bootleg version of Iglesias. Like, he's the same ideology, but he's just like worse on Twitter. And his article was just like, he was just taking like different sample sizes from different like exit polls and then isolating just one part of it and then just mixing it up with other data sets. And I just couldn't believe that the hit job he did. And it's like, so many of those guys, I feel like they resent the fact that it's like the squad is like young women, right? In some ways, I feel like if AOC was a man, they would have, their attacks would have been different.
Well,
right?
they would have been calling her sexist.
Well, like I don't know what they would have done specifically, but I feel like they try to make it seem like she's dumb.
Well,
right?
no,
Because she's a
that's
woman.
that's the main thing that they do with her now is try to say that she's kind of just some ditzy female, doesn't know that what she's talking about. But they tailor those
They sound like
attacks.
Republicans, though.
They do. Yeah, they buy right into those right wing stereotypes, and then when it comes down to these attacks, though, they like it's like what we talked about before, Matt, with the whole working class bit, right? They say they're trying to turn working class into some kind of racial dog whistle, and they'll do that to progressive.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
Which makes me really, and I feel like I shouldn't say that because I'm a white woman, right? But also, I look at it as working class has nothing to do with race.
Right.
It has nothing to do with race. I am one of those people that I'll tell you over and over and over again. I do get mad at the left because I do think that they keep race out when we discuss communism, and like we need to discuss, like, race and class go hand in hand, right? But
yeah, it's
the
way you
term working
experience
class is not a racist dog whistle of like only white people. Like, are you kidding me?
The working class is the majority of the country, and really trying to turn it into a dog whistle. Yes,
and it's the unionization rates are higher among Black and brown communities too. So like that stereotype only exists in their head because they see it as a dog whistle for Trump supporters, right?
Exactly.
It's like a reverse dog whistle, whatever you would call that, right? It's like if you look at the way these people talk, like Charlotte Clymer with her sipping coffee shit, like they all have this perception that like red states are full of just vile racists and they don't care about them, and it's really off-putting. Like that's the shit that hurts the Democrats most, especially like the college non-college breakdown. Like I don't know if you heard Chapo this week. I know you listen, right? Maria, that was
I didn't get to listen to it yet. I'm sorry boys, I'm behind.
Crispin is
they're listening.
They don't listen to my show. They don't. He's got this big thing about college, non-college educated, right? Like they vote, the non-college educated working class go for the Republicans because it's like they see it as the Democrats are like the fun police, right? And won't let them, like both parties, the economics are off the table basically, right? So it's just cultural signifiers. And like his theory is that they're going for them because it's they see them as coastal elites. They see them as who they are, right? Like that's who they are. And it has a lot to do with their approach because they're not knocking on doors. They're not meeting people, going out and like organizing in the field. And there's no unions to do that. Like one of the things that helped them in the swing states was those were states that had unions, had active, labor organizing that could get out and turn out to vote. And like, I think if they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like if you don't explain it to them, like if people aren't actually talked to about this stuff and you actually meet people, they just see them as like Nancy Pelosi as some, out of touch rich lady, and AOC as some like, SJW psycho or something, They don't like understand the, the intersectionality of everything. They don't you have to actually meet people with it. You can't just put like Trump is bad TV ads. That's not going to win anybody over.
But that's what they do. That's what they do. And I mean, they've even pushed out, they've pushed out us. And here's the thing, like I'm college educated. I have a master's degree. Yeah. Like, it's not, I'm not against the Democrats because it's like, I do not feel that they represent the people at all. And I'm not a Republican because I don't feel they represent the people at all. More and more kids are getting like this generation that's coming up. Like I know that they want to say like that the youth came out and they voted this time and they voted Donald Trump out and yada yada yada. But the thing is that if you do the same thing to them that you did to us, they are going to go quicker than us.
Oh yeah.
And I do not, and I mean, because like when Antoine Rose was shot and killed here in Pittsburgh in 2018, like I remember like seeing the kids like out in the street and they're like, you know, chanting like, you know, Karl Marx like phrases and just they are way more left than millennials.
Yeah, I noticed that too in Atlanta when they were burning down the Wendy's.
Right,
They were talking to the cops. They were talking about like, you know, they were criticizing the cops in like Marxist tinged attacks. I think your microphone's a little loud. It's
who mine?
You, Maria. Yeah.
Let's see. Just turn down the gain on the back, the top knob.
Do you hear it? Good.
Go. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, one thing I was gonna point out was, I mean, it seems to be a generational thing that somehow everybody becomes more informed, and then as they become more informed, by and large, the demographic moves more and more to the left.
I mean, I guess I don't know. We should probably like
I would say a lot of the for the most part, Gen Z is probably a little more to the left than the millennial generation.
Yeah, but I don't know how it's going to shake out.
Yeah, they're more left. If that's what you mean, then they're more left. I'd say. Yeah, they're definitely.
But are they going to vote for the Democrats?
And that's the other part of it is there's also less of this kind of attitude that you have with the older generations. You're talking like Gen X or the boomers, where they have this this devotion almost to the party. Like I'm a ride or die Democrat forever, and I'm a ride or die Republican. I don't care who's on the ballot. I'm always down for the squad in that sense.
But the problem is that just like how we were with, you know, Kerry in 2004 and then Obama in 2008. Well, you know, obviously Kerry didn't win, but like we weren't able to have that information of who was in their, you know, administration and their cabinet. Like that wasn't at our fingertips, right? Mm-hmm. This shit is at these kids' fingertips.
That's
true. Know it.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to trick them.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And setting those mainstream media narratives with our generation and Gen Z is a lot more difficult. You know, you have so many multiple streams of information coming at you. You could get 6 different sources and 6 different narratives on some issues.
Yeah.
And it informs your opinion a lot more if your goal is to keep yourself informed and not so much reinforce the bubble or whatever information bubble that you might be in.
Well, I
think.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are your kids in an echo chamber? We should probably segue into this discussion of kids. We can get your expert analysis of the Gen Z voter, right? Like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't know. The party has to be taken over, right? There's not, like you're right. There's not another generation of voters out there who are going to support these terrible politicians, right? Like it's going to have to change at some point. But it seems like we're still outnumbered in a lot of places. These these blue districts, like it's these suburban districts and all. It's like I don't know how you would convince like rural America without actual having progressive candidates talk to the people. But like I don't I think the trends are trending in that way. It's like college. The people who go to college vote for the Democrats and the people who don't vote for the Republicans. And I don't know how you change that without like looking at the districts themselves, right? And it's like we're going to be outnumbered by these assholes for another 20 years or so probably, right?
Damn.
Well, I think though that
Whoa.
The one thing that have like grassroots efforts. Am I frozen?
No, you unfroze now.
You were for a second.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with my
You said
internet.
grassroots efforts.
But yeah, like these roots efforts to get in local candidates, right? So
Yeah.
one of my like big things that I'll, even though I hate electoral politics right now, I'm just done with it, is I believe in the importance of voting in district attorneys and voting in
Yeah.
judges and magistrates that are progressive. And it's hard to do, especially like we challenged a magistrate in our area. My friend Mikhail Pappas, he was the challenger. This guy Ron Costa had been in for like 24 years, and the neighborhood in Pittsburgh, like the district, had like the highest level of eviction rates. So Mick went in and he said, he was like, I'm going to lower eviction rates. Like if you give me your vote, I'm going to lower eviction rates. And there were like a number of other things, like no cash bail. There were that we went around and we talked to the community about and explained to them. And Mick ran as an independent, just
Yeah.
but we.
I don't know much that matters, but yeah.
It does. I feel like it does and it doesn't. But it's really who you give them and if you give them results.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
you have like the volunteers, and you go around and you actually have conversations with these people and explain to them how a vote for your candidate is going to change their life in some way, and you give them the results, they're definitely going to be, like more open to voting for you again and again if they continue to see these results. We've done it with smaller candidates in, the Pittsburgh area, outside of Pittsburgh. A lot of people have done it everywhere, but it's also, and look, I mean, it's difficult. I think that the party, I don't know where the party goes from here.
Yeah. At a certain point, they're going to have to let us in, or else they're going to lose. It's going to be
that's the case that we were talking about AOC. That's the case that she's been trying to make, and I think that I mean that's really what I look at her doing these when she does these press tours. Who she's communicating to? She's communicating not to us. She's communicating to Lib voters, and she's trying to get across a point that why do y'all keep losing? Why do we keep letting Republicans beat us over the head with whatever messaging they want? And why is it so effective? And why aren't we effectively making the case for ourselves as an opposition party instead of just cowering and making sure that they don't, hit us too hard with whatever they want to hit us with?
I think you said too, they're entrenched in their parties, right? Once they get to a certain age, they're Team Democrat or Team Republican, and that's the party they're going to stay in. So if it's a progressive candidate or if it's a corporatist candidate, they're going to vote for them if they have a D next to their name. It's not, the electorate's not as malleable as they seem to think, where people just cross over and vote for the Democrat because the Republican did some mean tweets, right? That's not a thing that really happened. Right. So you need to turn out the next generation of voters. That's how you do it. You can't take these shortcuts like trying to cheat and just steal the other network's people. Just with the way the echo chambers are too, it's all and that's so partisan. The cable and New York Times, all that, right?
Well, that's another reason why this strategy that Democrats try to push is effective. As okay, if we just run like if we're diet Republicans, that'll work. That'll get those moderates over on our side. It's not like they don't factor into the equation that all right, they just vote Republican because they're Republican. They don't care how similar you sound. If you both are sounding the same, they're still going to vote for a Republican over you.
Yeah. No, we need to do it one district at a time, right? They're going to have to just rise up and take over because they're going to keep funding these Amy McGraths and these terrible candidates.
Oh, right? Amy McGrath.
Right. And I think that's where it comes down to, I see this frustration and I understand where people don't want to fight because, I said after this, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Can't do this. After the Sanders campaign, after just dealing with the Democratic Party, I've been voting for them since I was 18. So I think my first midterm was 2002 or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I'm done. Like, you've spit in my face for the last time. You know, you've literally you've said to us over and over. I mean, they didn't even reach out to us at all this time.
No.
Even the Unity platform was worse this time than it was in 2016.
Right. I mean, I really thought at that point Hillary did give a little more concessions to the Sanders wing. By the end, I remember one of the things I was happy about with Hillary was that she adopted at least half of Bernie's college plan, which was making 2-year colleges tuition free. So, I mean, I thought that was some kind of tangible concession. This time around, I mean, what do we have? $15 minimum wage, and it wasn't really even a cornerstone of Biden's messaging, you know. And and just to point out too, he in Florida, he lost Florida, and $15 an hour minimum wage won. So you know, go figure that one.
He refused to say that he would legalize weed. Right?
Oh God!
And how it won in how many states?
Yeah, it was 15, right?
States?
It was 15, I think,
yeah,
and then 15 states, and then Oregon decriminalized all drugs. So
yeah.
That kind of scares me, though. Like, you know, like that they're tightening up everything else, making everything shitty, and then legalizing drugs. Like, here, you know, you savages, you sit and get high and don't ask too many questions. Right. I mean, it's good from a criminal justice point of view, right? Like, it's good that we're gonna have, you know, all those people not getting screwed over and locked into the system for weed charges. But
yeah,
you know,
it's good in that kind of view, and in the harm reduction model of addiction. That you know, I'm a fan of. I'm not. I mean, look, I smoke obviously weed, but no, harm reduction, I think, is always better to focus on rather than just full abstinence, like full sobriety. If people can do that and they can do this 12 steps and all of that, that's great. But in reality, there's a lot of people that cannot do that. So if you have these harm reduction measures in place, like, for instance, you know, like having injection sites that give out, you know, clean needles and do like free testing. If you have these harm reduction, you know, things, and you're able to put more money towards, you know, some type of treatment instead of throwing them in jail, I think that it would be better. I mean, but I also get your point of like, it's like, are we just allowing like the nation to just drug us up? And I mean, we really have, though, over the years.
Yeah, especially with, you know, big pharma, right? That's
right.
People still haven't really reckoned with that, right? Like, there's still an opiate crisis. They just don't talk about it anymore, right? Because they don't care. It's like that same thing about, you know, the middle American voters, the Trump voters that nobody wants to do anything good for. It's certainly not, you know, either party. Right. And I think, like, the thing we were saying about the harm reduction, too, is that ties back into the DAs, right? Because they still are so bad on their messaging that they let these, like, you know, right-wing demagogues, like, talk shit on any reform measure they put in, right? Like, you saw Krasner in Philly just get shit on by all these reactionaries for not doing, you know, crime bill style, like, law enforcement, right? Like, every time they do try to loosen up a little, like, that's how Kamala Harris won to be DA, right? Like, she ran against a guy who was, you know, pretty legit, pretty progressive, especially for back then. And he was, you know, like, letting people go on, you know, not, you know, like, simple charges, like, you know, like drugs and, you know, simple stuff like that. And she made it the corner piece of her campaign was like fear mongering over, you know, like rapists and murderers that this guy's letting out of jail. And the same thing with the, you know, the safe injection sites, right? Like, they have this crisis and people try to deal with it, and then that's the response you get. It's just reactionary bullshit.
Right. And in the DA, you know, because, like, I always, like, worry about Krasner, like, because I obviously, like, I mean, I live in Pittsburgh, but I've done a lot of work in Philadelphia because a lot of the juvenile justice stuff, we always kind of like look towards Philly. Like Pittsburgh always looks towards Philly because they have way more kids, obviously, than we do. But so I like went hard for Krasner, and I was pissed that he endorsed Warren. I didn't get that over Bernie, but the one thing that Krasner has done for that DA's like a candidate like Krasner he's done is he's given the power to like the district attorney to pick and choose. Okay, what are we going to charge? What are we going to ask for in terms of sentencing? What do we agree with? What do we not agree with? There were a lot of things like, Pennsylvania has the highest amount of juvenile lifers in the nation. There's 514, and they all need resentenced. And the majority of them come from Philadelphia. And Krasner, the DA's office, they can go in when you do a resentencing. The DA's office can go in and they can like deny. Like you can say, okay, we think that like you should give like you gave this you gave my client life without the possibility of parole at 16. He served 18 years. We're asking 20 to 40 with time served, meaning he serves 20 years, he's eligible for parole. But the DA can always come back and be like, nah, we don't agree with that. We want 35 to life, meaning he's got to wait 35. So a DA office like Krasner's can say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to work with the defense attorney. We're going to look at these mitigating factors. They have the guy they just put in Los Angeles. In LA. I forget. I'm going to butcher his name. I forget what his name is.
I just looked it up too.
But it's like Garcone or Garcone.
Oh yeah, Gasconi. Yeah, Gascon.
Gascone. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. But one of his first things that he said is that he will not charge a child as an adult. And as somebody in Los Angeles, for him to say that, that's huge. I mean, yes, completely different state, California, but still for him to come out and say that, that's huge, just in terms of juvenile justice. So if you if you do have a DA, now look, judges can argue with you and fight. There's a whole bunch of, it just doesn't come down to DAs, right? Like you also have to pay attention to judges too. It's an extremely complicated system. I always like reference like my years as like a juvenile justice, like an expert witness, like as like almost like a circus, just kind of like a clown show, like and you're performing and it's just very, but like the court system is just bizarre. But if you put in these progressive people and you hold them accountable, then you will see some change. And Philly saw some change with Krasner. We've seen it with, Mick in Pittsburgh.
Wait a minute, he won?
Oh, my friend Mick?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won in 2017. We beat that. We beat Ron Costa by, I think, 11 points. And he dropped, I don't want to give I don't have the exact, I'm sorry, I did bad research today, but I don't have the exact percentage, but, of like tenant landlord disputes that he's settled, but he's dropped a ridiculous amount of eviction rates, in the district.
Yeah. It seems like that's a very powerful position, right? Like that's a good point that we really should focus on DAs and other kind of races like that. I mean,
it's not one of the. It's not one of the more flashy ones that you talk about, like with city council,
tried to do it
Congress, state positions, all those kinds of things. But like what you're just pointing out, the DA stuff. I mean, it has a real direct effect on people. But sorry, go ahead, Matt. I cut you off.
The Chicago DSA endorsed Well, like
Right.
we went. It wasn't like we tried to get this guy out. Like Judge Tooman, there's this horrible right wing judge. Like you probably know about him. He's had a couple of those terrible rulings on juvenile justice. Like he
Yes.
kept all those kids in since Corona. Like he used that as an excuse to not like process their their bail hearings and all. So there's been kids locked up. There's supposed to be a 30-day
Yeah, they've just
maximum.
been sitting there.
Yeah,
They've been
there's supposed to be
sitting. They
30-day
haven't been able to
maximum,
see
right?
their families. Well, I think that he has them from what I gather. The kids that are sitting in the detention center. So the detention center is just a holding center, meaning the kids don't get real treatment there. Like a juvenile like detention center is different from like a facility, like a residential facility where they would get long-term treatment. So they're basically languishing there with no treatment.
Yeah.
They don't get to see their families. And he's just
and he's just consistently let the cops get away with this. And we tried to get him out and we failed. He got reelected. It's tough. Like once they get in, they really, the ballot is like, should we retain this guy or not? So it's kind of hard to explain to people. Plus, like all like the Tribune and all the like mainstream sources endorsed him again. So that was kind of a tough spot. But we also couldn't get the fair tax passed either. So like I'm kind of just like the drug legalization stuff is good. I'm just kind of bummed on referendums since ours failed here.
Yeah, that was something I was about to ask you guys too, because I saw this on the Kyle show today. He made a point about direct ballot initiatives and whether it would be a good idea to have those at the federal level.
The thing with him though, like what I was thinking about with the drug stuff too, it's like they kind of want that, right? Like they know that's another market for capital to exploit, right? They want drugs legalized. They want to be able to make money off of it, right? Like other stuff that's going to challenge their power, they organize against significantly. Like they spent that $200 million on Prop 22 in California, right?
Yeah.
That's a shitload of money. So if you're actually threatening them, they're not going to let the referendums pass, or they're going to make it a lot harder.
Right.
So in California.
Right. So a bunch of these.
I don't know how that minimum wage passed, though. I mean, that's interesting.
Well, people want to get paid, and they're in the middle of a pandemic. So
I guess they just don't understand when it's something. It's like another reason why you need the grassroots organizing, because people don't understand the fair tax is going to be good for you. People just think any tax increase is bad, right?
Right. It's an association. It's a messaging association. So from what Republicans have done forever is made taxes just automatically bad. It's an association everybody makes in their mind. Tax bad, and that's the extent of what they have to hear about it. Like if they would have called it something else, like a fair funding referendum or something like that, it might have passed just because they didn't have tax in the name.
I don't know. I think it was the attack ads.
Right, and that's the other part. That's the other part of this thing is mostly when you see a lot of things like the legalization of marijuana, those things have a way of passing. Like good policies have a way of passing when they're put up for direct initiatives. The only time they really fail is when you have these very drastic attack campaigns against them, and then
that's what you see, right?
Yeah,
like all over the place. Whenever there's something that's actually going to fuck with their paper, they'll spend as much money as it takes to beat it. And like I'm saying, man, we need to get out on the street.
Yeah, it's all about money in the end, and that's what where I'm not optimistic about the Democratic Party or any form of electoral politics really at this point, besides like local like judges and DAs. I mean, because at the end of the day, like this is all about money,
right?
Because we could put all of these like great policies in, right? But at the end of the day, like if there's no money put into it, and you don't listen to the people that are involved already in the cause, it's just going to end up like something's going to end up happening. Like, for instance, so Trump passed the Families First Act, right? It went into effect October 2020. Now, on paper, looks great, okay? And it makes sense. Federal funds, so we want to try to get away from like what's called congregate care. So having children in like group homes, shelters, orphanages, residential treatment, and putting in like in-home services in the home to keep the kid in that home at all costs. So if the parents need help, instead of removing the kid, you're helping the parent. If the kid has mental health issues, you're having therapists in day out, all of that stuff. So that's all well and good, right? But while they're doing this, they're closing down all of these facilities. So we have like no more group homes. We only have like a couple residential facilities now, which again, totally agree with. I think that we need to phase away from that. However, the bill's idea is that, well, if we just train families, if we give agencies more money to get more foster families, then we don't have to send kids to a placement. But okay, so how are you going to help the foster families? Like, what are they going to put in? So like they don't talk to the stakeholders. Like, they need to talk to like people that are really working in this, because again, there's going to be problems with everything, but we're going to have this big issue where, what do you do with the kids that can't be in a home, right? Like they can't be with a family right now, or can't be with their family, that there's like such severe abuse going on that, like so while I agree with the act in general, there's still going to be problems behind it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to fund it, right?
Well, I mean, if you're going to get like, so it gives federal funds, it says to direct federal funds to, these in-home services and foster families, but where is that money going? And do they know what this entails? Because this isn't just, we give more money for agencies to go out and get more foster families and then put these kids in there, because that's not how it works. Like, these foster families are a lot of times in distress. I mean, they go into this wanting to do something good. They want to do something good. They maybe want to adopt. They go into this very noble, and they're not told they're not given what the reality is of trying to raise a child that is severely traumatized. And it's sad for everybody around. It's sad for the parent, it's sad for the kid, it's sad for everyone. But so there's this whole big group of kids that are going to end up getting screwed over because we don't have anywhere for them to go. Like, where so you've closed down all of these places, but what are we, like, my fear is that these kids are going to end up being pushed back into juvenile justice system.
Well, yeah. Is there a line of foster family? Like, can you vet them better, or is there just not enough, like, stable families on the list?
I mean, it's that I don't think it's that we're not, like, I think that we do need better vetting, but even like the best foster families, they're not told the information that they need to know, or they're not, they'll tell like a foster agency, look, I can't deal with the kid that hurts animals or whatever. And down the line, what happens if that kid hurts an animal? Because somebody missed the boat and didn't say that this kid has
Yeah.
issues with, you know, hurting animals. Or like just leaving like foster families like in the dark after they adopt. So they'll adopt,
Mm,
they get all of this help, right? Like while they're the foster parents, and the kids in foster care, they get all this help. But the minute that they adopt, it's like all of that stops
mm,
because it's like they think, okay, kids adopted, everything's fine. No, that's when a lot of this shit comes up. A lot of this, you know, trauma. Like adoption can be a very beautiful thing, but it's not always sunshine and roses,
Mm-hmm.
especially the older that the child gets, because it's
Ooh, yeah.
still a loss at the end of the day. It's a
how come it's
loss.
not like a you know, how come like the prison industrial complex hasn't gotten in on this? I feel like that they there'd be a way to make some money off this,
Oh God.
Well,
just
I mean,
profiting off people's misfortune.
technically, I mean, they have. Like, I mean, you do see like some of these residential facilities that, you know, have opened up and they've gotten way in over their heads because they've said, oh, we're going to treat 200 children. They can't get enough staff. All of a sudden, they have 200 children in 8 different units with not enough staff. And then there's riots and sexual assaults. And then you're getting staff in that, you know, right off the street that have no training with children whatsoever, that's, you know, doing drugs with them or just doing like all types of crazy shit. Like it's just such a
Mm,
big, so they get involved. I mean, you see that. Like if you look at
mm,
like like Mitt Romney got called out for like being, I think, Universal, he was on, I think, the board of Universal Health
Mm-hmm.
Services. They were
mm,
like infamous for their facilities, like being private, like for-profit facilities, and these facilities there were rampant issues, sexual abuse, physical abuse, kids dying from restraints, just horrific things. So they ended up, I think, like a lot of the behavioral health stuff for the kids ended up going to this other company right now. It's called Acadia. Um, so that's like the big business. Like Acadia runs, oh, I don't even know how many facilities around the nation, but like this is big. It is big business. You know, even like with like that place that Paris Hilton was sent, like the troubled
yeah,
teen industry.
Ooh.
Parents get
yeah,
so desperate, and you know, there might be nowhere to put them in the state or whatever, and a psychiatrist is saying, you know, no, they don't meet criteria for residential. So the parent can't get any help, so they'll get so desperate that they'll send their kids off and pay like $5,000,
yeah.
$10,000 a month to these like crazy ass fucking places that do no therapy, abuse the kids. It's a break you down and build you back up type of system. Um, Kids have died there. Kids have killed
Yeah.
themselves. I mean, people have suffered through significant trauma that have been like sent to these places. So yeah, I mean, kids have definitely been, you know, I got what's the term, human capital. I mean, they are. I mean, it's big business.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are big business. You know, and it's sad.
Well, what do you want? You know, when we get like Rahm Emanuel for like Secretary at HUD or something.
Oh,
Um,
dude.
what do you think? What do you think they're gonna do? Like anything?
I don't think that anything's going to get done in these next 4 years. I think the only thing that we can hope for is that the Republicans buy into this whole, if you keep people out of jail, it'll be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that is really why the Republicans are on this, oh shit, maybe we did lock up too many people type of
Well, like
thing.
I feel
Um,
like they're just switching it though, right? Like they're trying to make money at the border now instead of in the inner
right. It's
cities,
now,
right? Like
instead of
Mm-hmm.
black people, it's brown people that the
yeah,
Republican, you know, so it's still a system, because here's the other thing. They're making money from that too. Those private facilities, Kids
yeah.
Voice
We talked
in
about that a couple
Pennsylvania.
times.
Yeah, I think it's Kid. No, I think it might be Vision. a youth center, and it's all kids. It's all kids from the border.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Pennsylvania must
I
have
mean,
lax private prison laws.
Well, do you think things at the border will change any for the better at all with the incoming administration? There's a lot of attention on that as far as from a morality standpoint that the Democrats try to make, and they want to take a step back from some of the more draconian policies that have been in place there over Trump's administration. So I mean,
666 kids, they can't find their parents.
yeah, I mean, you have stuff like that happening, and yeah, is the fact that Biden was part of the administration of Obama, who had so many deportations, just a non-starter?
I mean, I think that they have to answer for that, because
Right.
I think
they're
the
gonna let the
only
kids out of the
difference,
cages at least.
right? The only difference that they did is they kept the families together, but they still kept them in cages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that is the only thing that, because they were horrible with deportation. I mean, they're going to have to try to find these children's parents. The children that they don't find their parents, they need to, wherever they go, wherever they're adopted or wherever, those kids need to have treatment immediately. Because what they are seeing at the border, at these detention, at the centers, are horrific.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look, I love kids, obviously, like, just like, you know, I work with them, but children are children, and children do things to each other. So when you hear things about, you know, 7-year-olds having sex with each other, or, you know, them doing these other crazy things, they're doing, like, it is because of where they're at and in their environment. And it's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to pick up a 2-year-old kid, you know, from the border, and they're going to be fine. No, it's not like that. That kid's already made a bond with their parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that kid has already made a bond with their parent, and you're never going to break that attachment. I don't care. Like, I mean, it's science that says that. Like, attachment starts in the womb.
Well,
so
I think you're right though, because if they built nice new facilities, you know, all over the country, like, Joe Biden's not gonna, like, shut them down. You know, like, he'll find somebody to put in them, right?
Yeah,
like, he might
sure.
not do it. Like,
Well, he's
like, as
by all accounts,
indiscriminately.
he's a budget hawk. So, I mean, it's not. They're not going to go in and waste resources like that if there's already been an investment. I mean,
The government probably paid some private company to build them and operate them. Right?
Exactly.
So they would make that argument, like, sunk cost, like, oh, well, we already built them, so we might as well not do catch and release, not do, you know, a more humane border policy.
right, or go back to these other, you know, policies, like, you know, because how many of these kids are going to end up being adopted and end up becoming citizens here?
Right.
You know what I mean? Which, you know, and of course I'm not saying, like, no, don't, you know, have them here. But as a country, I think that it is our responsibility to take care of them. And I know that there's a lot of people that will disagree with me on that, but I don't give a shit. We did
She
this.
wants to give government health care to immigrants.
I mean, but we did this. We did this to these poor children. And these poor children are going to suffer from this, and you're going to see increases in mental illness and increase in crime, increase in all of this stuff, and it's all going to come from the fact that we traumatize them.
Yeah.
Right. And
this
then,
is what they did in the 80s, the war on drugs. They make they make the problem, they make the expensive problem, and then they complain about the price of dealing with it. It's
yes.
sick system.
I mean, and in the more immediate, I mean, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and we're not exactly the best country in the world at dealing with it. I mean, how many people in those camps have caught COVID because of the program that's in place? It's
right.
Yeah. So
it's really, I don't know. It's hard for me. Like, when I hear about, you know, people like, it's definitely like around like the whole election about like, well, if you don't vote for Biden, you don't care about the kids in cages and da 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 da.
Oh God.
One for the record, I did fucking vote for Biden, and the only reason I did it is because my dead mother would have never stopped haunting me if I didn't do it.
I said I would have if I was
her.
in the same state.
Wait,
I didn't because I'm in Chicago,
And I lived
but I
in
would have if I was in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, you were in a pivotal state, a pivotal county too, right? That was
Allegheny.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the ones we were waiting to see roll in on the night of, and then
Yeah, I think though that Westmoreland was more important than Allegheny because Westmoreland's like right outside of Pittsburgh. And that's what I tell people, like, between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, it is Trump country. It is Trump country. It's a Commonwealth. It's Trump country. But
were you part of that? Were you part of the mail-in ballot wave?
I mailed in my ballot.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was part of the
illegal ballots.
The illegal ballots that is good.
Oh yeah, I saw them. I kept saying, I was like, when I saw them in Philadelphia, I was like, there's kids are gonna be. I was like, a bunch of Philly kids are gonna end up beating them up and clowning them and shit. Because Philly kids are funny like that. I love them when they get sent to Pittsburgh.
Well, they caught that QAnon psycho at the polling place, right? Like,
when they were gonna have that, they had a planned attack in Philly out there.
Yeah. I did hear about that. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think there's gonna be like any kind of like, civil war or any of that.
If that was gonna happen, I thought it would have popped off by now.
I do think there's going to be chuds like stepping up their weirdo attacks, right? Like I think between like, all the QAnon freaks and then all the people who were looking for violence, and then like just the people who were just pissed off about like the failed coup attempt or whatever. There's going to be some like weird domestic terrorism,
Well, do you think that's partially because it hasn't set in yet, and you still have people like Mike Pompeo saying, "Oh, we're gonna transition into a second Trump term," and you have all these court things popping around, and all that sort of stuff. I guess the result is, has reality really set in for the majority of people that did support Trump? And maybe that's why they haven't reacted in a certain way that we would have expected.
What do you think? Is there a bunch of pissed off rednecks?
But also, like, my thing is like, okay, well, what constitutes a civil war? What constitutes what pops it off? Because we could argue that we're in one right now. Just because people aren't shooting at each other in the street like all day long or whatever. But you technically probably argue we're in one now. I don't know if we'd say, but we're in something. We're in some type of part of history that
it's gonna be hard to.
Good.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to define one way or another without.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was talking to like Cole James Cash. Like after the election, I was just like crying. I was just like, I'm afraid for like my kids. I don't know what's going to happen to them. Like, I was just being real dramatic, real Dago. Like, but he said to me straight up, he was like, do you want me to tell you the honest truth? He was like, you're not doing this to see progress in your life at all. He's like, you're not going to see it. It's like, you're not. He's like, it's for these kids. It's the kids that you work with and the future generation. He's like, you have to get it in your head right now. Like, this isn't, I'm in my mid-30s. Like, I think it's going to get way worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm... Go ahead.
No, the only thing I'd say is that Biden does have he has a better ability to kind of calm shit down into a lull than Trump does, who every time he would just open his mouth, it's just going to go and inflame the situation more.
Well,
You know, I mean, that's the only thing I'd say for him. Do you catch me? Well, you know, the
You're
only
breaking up.
oh, still. No, well, the only thing I'd say with Biden is that he has
You
more.
there?
Yep, you got me. No, maybe. I don't know what's going on.
Finally, yeah, you guys are good now.
All right, yeah. The only thing, the only thing I was saying was that Biden. I think he has more of an ability to sort of settle shit down more than Trump, who just has one direction. Whereas if something happens, he's just going to inflame shit more rather than try to even attempt to cool things off.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit that we have with Biden right now. I think he's just gonna, but I think he's gonna make it slower, right? I think that we're not, because I do not think that I don't think that he's gonna make it to 2024.
Same here.
They're not gonna let him run. They're like, no, we're not doing another Reagan. But I do not think that Kamala will be a strong ticket at all, regardless of who her VP is. And I think that the Republicans are going to run somebody way more competent and evil than Trump.
You don't think that Trump's just going to make another run at it again?
Yeah, I think.
I think that he'll try to, but can he really beat them in a primary? I mean, I guess he could if people really wanted him. But
I'd kind of have a hard time thinking the opposite way. Who would beat Donald Trump from the Republican Party in a primary?
None of those assholes, man. They all suck.
like Ted Cruz is gonna come and oust them this time. You know, they're gonna have
like Ted Nugent or someone like that.
I think I don't know why I have this premonition that they're gonna run Tom Cotton in 2024.
Right? Yeah. Okay, that's another one. I mean, I wouldn't even doubt that Tom Cotton runs against Trump, but will Tom Cotton be able to beat Trump?
Right. I mean,
don't think he's charismatic.
No.
You know.
No, he's not, but I also think that he's more competent than Trump, and I think
I'm
that
sure
if
he
Trump,
is.
right, like loses interest too, because that's the other thing. Knowing Trump, he could do something in 4 years that who knows.
He's going to be in the spotlight the whole time. Like whatever he does, he's going to just like do like he did Obama and just attack him, but with just like a much bigger platform. So like if he's on cable news or if he's like, you know, living in some tax haven somewhere with no extradition treaty, like whatever ends up happening, like he's going to just like do mean tweets all day and like just constantly undermine whatever Biden's trying to do. And I think Biden's going to be horribly ineffective. He's not going to be able to do anything. And then
he's not going to do anything.
Well, you know, we were talking about
people.
Well, we were
just
talking
make the right, you know. That much more appealing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about what is being kicked around for Biden's first 100 days. And it doesn't sound terrible. He's talking about getting back into the Iran deal, the $15 minimum wage he wants to push, the student debt forgiveness for up to $50,000. There were a few other things. The Paris Climate Agreement. You know, so on paper, what they're throwing around sounds pretty decent. The trick is how much can he get done without a Congress?
Right. How much can you get done without a Congress? How much are they going to let you get done? And what is returning back to normal going to get us?
Right. It would go.
Go ahead.
No, it would go a long way if the rumblings that they're going to listen to progressives at all were actually had some foundation to them. So if there's actually something with the climate plan that's any kind of resemblance to what we would get under a Green New Deal, if there's cabinet appointments, like if we actually did get Bernie in as labor secretary, that would at least show some good faith effort to go ahead and reach out to the left.
They have to do something if they want to deal with the progressives.
And not for nothing, they could get away.
The country's fucked, man. The economy's
many
people are out of work, and so many businesses are going under. Like they have to do something.
But not for nothing, they could go ahead and put Bernie in the position like labor secretary, and that would buy them so much, I guess inroads with the left that they could probably get away with doing a lot of other dumb shit that we wouldn't like. But just throwing that one out there too, if they wanted to just go ahead and give us that little bit of representation.
I'm a little more optimistic about getting a good cabinet appointment than I think a lot of people are. I think there'll be one. I think there'll be one good person in the cabinet. I don't know where yet, but I feel like it'll be somebody good.
I mean, just for the love of God, don't put Kasich, don't put Mitt Romney.
Yeah, they better not put those assholes in.
I mean, I swear to God, man. What's the point of winning an election if you're gonna end up putting people from the other side in the middle of your goddamn cabinet anyway?
It's not even that, though. It's just that they're not good faith actors.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about Bernie. I mean, I would love to see him be labor secretary, but then also like part of me is almost like Bernie, I love you so much and you've done so much for us. Mm-hmm. It's time. Go. Mm-hmm.
The rest of these assholes are so old, though.
I know, and he's the only one that fights for us, but I feel just so, I like, when I look at him, it makes me so sad because, like, how can a man that he just has been so disrespected by this entire party, and he continues to fight for them and fight for them. He wrote a whole COVID response plan.
Oh.
Like, I mean, that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Still, I mean, and people can make fun of me all they want. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I still am having, it still is very sad to me. Even though I went through it in 2016, it's still very sad to me that this happened. But it breaks my heart that he does this stuff for them and they don't give a shit about him. If they would put him on the cabinet, I would definitely, like, my opinion of them, the administration would change. I still wouldn't have much hope for anything really being done, but I would at least see it as them saying, all right, we'll throw you a bone or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't mean that I become a Democrat again.
No. But
I want Warren. I want her to be Treasury Secretary.
All right, how about...
I hope she doesn't get a cabinet. That will make me feel good, too. I do not want her in the cabinet because she doesn't deserve it. Because
there you go. I got a comment on here. Demon rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's terrible. She does not deserve to be...
No. Can I ask you, what do you make of... What do you make of what Warren did in the primary? Was that a personal thing, or do you think she's just a straight sellout?
I think she's a sellout, and I think you have to have some type of narcissism in you to run for office, right? We all have it. It's just a trait. Like, I hate when people pathologize shit a lot, but we all, you have to have some type of ego. Well, I'm not going to say narcissist. Sorry. Take that back. You have to have some type of ego to run for office, right? I think that her ego got to her, and I think that she sold out. True Demon is Nancy P. I hate her too. I do like when Trump calls her MS-13 lover Nancy Pelosi.
Oh,
that's actually one of my favorite Trump nicknames ever.
Yeah, sorry guys, I just figured out how to get the chat working.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder where all the chats were.
There you go.
Warren is not going to have Facebook and Google. Yeah, so
so sucks.
It's good, and she doesn't deserve one either. I mean, the cabinet's going to suck either way. Nobody gives a fuck about us. But no, I think she's a snake, and I think that she fucked over one of the only people that.
Do you think she purposely stayed in though?
Okay, what would
end there? The way she stayed in, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that was on purpose? Like, she knew what she was doing, she was just staying in to take Bernie out, or do you think she still thought she had a chance to win or something? I don't understand that part.
Or that's what I mean. Like, was it a personal thing that she felt slighted by Bernie, or was it a thing where she just was doing her part for the establishment to make sure that he couldn't pull it off on Super Tuesday?
Yeah,
I think it
it's the
was
latter, right?
honestly a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that she, like, another thing that broke my heart is when it came out that they said that with that he looked to see if she could be Treasury Secretary. What did like Treasury Secretary and Vice President at the same
Right,
time?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have
Yeah.
okay, regardless of what would have gone down, Bernie still would have probably made her VP and tried to do that Treasury Secretary hybrid position for her. Like he wouldn't have made it into a personal thing the way it became. And I mean, for it to have gotten as far as her making all these sexist accusations, I mean, it was a real clownish moment. You know, there was one video that I put out just showing that rift, and it was a clear and obvious rift from where things started at the beginning of the primary, where you saw them kind of arguing against the centrists from the same angle.
I remember I have a picture of them with like they both have their arm like around each other and they look really mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like they look like because they were all being attacked that night. And I put like president and VP, president and VP,
Yeah.
like, and I saw it. I mean, she did worse than fucking Kamala did. Like, she just and it hurt him. I mean, and it really did. But I always what's that one dude's name that I forget what his name is, the one that like lied about like how all of his friends at the barbershop were talking about Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, jeez, I don't remember his name. I know what you're talking about, though. Like, who was talking about Warren?
Yeah, he was like, he's like, me and my boys, we were at the barbershop, and everybody was so excited about Elizabeth Warren. I was like, that didn't happen, and then it ended up like not. It was
so messed up. I mean,
they had like those DVD cases taped to the wall.
Oh, jeez, that was so fake.
Yeah, it was just so like bizarre, and it was just really like cringy, and it's just like, all right, dude, who's paying you?
Yeah, I think she had a bunch of psychos like that running her campaign. You know, like,
all right,
I think it was people like that telling her, like, oh, you got to do more woke shit. You know, like you got to do.
So are we so game for Civil War? I mean, I'm cool with it. I mean. I don't know.
Is there a bunch of pissed off psycho chuds in Central PA? Are they going to do some damage?
There was on the fake barbershop. There was a bunch of DVDs or something taped to the wall to make it look
like,
real.
Yeah, it was like the sleeve from like DVDs, and it was like it was like Disney movies and shit too, wasn't it? It was just like weird. Like random stuff just like taped to the wall. It was so crazy.
Yeah, he was that was the thing. I think though that do I think that like MAGA chuds in Pennsylvania will do things? No, not really. I mean, they run their mouth and all types of shit, but like
you're not expecting outright violence though.
No.
Yeah. I mean, by this time, if there was a chance of that, I think it would have popped off by now.
It would have popped off by now, and we also kind of have a and I'm not saying this to like sound tough or anything like that, but like people don't really fuck with Pittsburgh a lot. Like the KKK like tried to come here, they got fucked up. Proud Boys were like planning on coming here, and then we were like, nope. Out of March, like, so I mean, Kyle popped it off. Oh yeah, who that Kyle Rittenhouse dude? Yeah.
Oh, I thought
Let me tell you. Oh, Kyle Kalinske.
I don't know.
Motherfucker. But yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, at least I'm not gonna see it in the city unless like somebody comes here and like does something crazy. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna call the fucking police if anything happens because they're obviously I don't call the police because I just don't believe them. No. And they're useless.
They're the bad guys.
But, right, like you know what I mean. If I will do what I have to if I have to protect myself. Like if there's a dude shooting out in the street, like you know what I mean. I might die, but I'm not going out.
Like Stan Chera.
Yeah, like I'm not going out like. I'm just saying. I'm not. Yeah, I will. If I need to protect myself, I will. But I'm generally a chill person.
Yeah.
All right. You know, why don't I bring up that video that you talked about, the Lori Lightfoot one? 'Cause I know you wanted to talk about that,
God.
right?
Yes.
Hold on,
Dude,
let me go to this thing.
I feel so bad because she's so. Look at.
Let me
Are
see.
you gonna put on the
This is the
volume?
creepiest thing.
Yeah, let me switch it over to you guys. Okay, that's one.
Why would you think this was a good idea?
Well, I mean, and it seemed interesting to talk about, didn't it? There we go.
She has a bunch. Like she just.
She got
She's like
hooked on the meme, on the viral.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There, look what.
All right, let's see this
Hopefully.
thing. All right.
Thank God. Science is back, baby. And the earth is round, not flat.
What?
Washing your hands does work. Social distancing does matter. And wearing a face covering does help protect all of us.
Oh boy.
I do love science.
It's so goofy.
What part of that was a good idea to release?
She
Everybody in
is.
Chicago wears a mask, though.
There you go. I hate science now.
Yeah, she's telling us things that they told us that we all know. I mean, that is like some Sesame Street shit. Like, I said, like, what is going on in Chicago? Like, what is everybody doing? Because she's running around with costumes. You know what I mean? She's the census cowboy. She dressed up as like a bat. I forget what she dressed up as, like Batwoman or something for Halloween. Yeah, she's just so goofy. Which, listen, would be completely fine if you weren't the fucking mayor of Chicago.
Or if you were good at your job, she could be goofball if she was like helping the people. Yeah, she hasn't done shit. There's been like literally nothing. Her response has been so terrible to all this, everything this year. It's just been
she
continuous.
just loves cops.
Yeah, she loves the cops. Fucking hates the teachers. It's like wait, what universe are you from where you think that appeals to voters? Who likes the cops more than the teachers?
It's just
psychos.
like, how
like
long
not
did
anybody here.
How long do you think she worked on that video, though? Like, I know.
I hope not long.
Like, I just am like, dude, I could see her. All right, guys. Like, could you see her I could see her, like, calling in her administration. Like, all right, guys, come on, let's sit down. I have this great idea, okay? We're going to make a video telling people to wear masks and wash their hands.
Oh, dude.
What?
I mean,
like,
she was trying to dunk on Trump. You know, like that's what she was trying to do. Was trying to make a like, oh, we got rid of the anti-science president.
Too. Yeah, we hate him too on this.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously it's a dunk on Trump, right? And to go at the mask and the anti-science shit that he does, but I mean, you have to do it in the most corniest way possible. Like, did she just sit down her team and be like, all right, I need some Sesame Street bullshit? That's what they ended up churning out.
Yeah, like, again, if she was doing something positive and doing actual work in Chicago, that I wouldn't have a problem with any of this. I would just be like, oh, you know, she's silly, whatever.
Right.
But, like,
I can't
this
believe
is
they're
like...
gonna let Ramen Manuel.
They're gonna... wait, they're what?
Wait, isn't he part of the...
Yeah, he's on the transition team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's on the transition team.
He's gonna be up in there, and his brother, the one that thinks you should die at 75, is on the fucking COVID team. Like, that's bad. Why can't they just let any of them fail?
What is their COVID plan, too? Like, what is Biden's COVID plan?
Well,
He doesn't have one.
No, he has a plan. He's already put together his task force. I mean, that's just to be fair to the guy. I mean, he's gonna go ahead and mandate masks on all federal property, is what he said, right? So, and I think he's planning to do some kind of subsidy for the actual vaccine, which should be free, so it shouldn't be some kind of subsidy, you know. So, I mean, I do think he's gonna go ahead and take it more seriously than Trump did. But I mean, the problem by now isn't so much the policies that are in place. He might go back and get masks to everybody if that helps. I mean, I don't know if by now it'll help with that post office plan that Trump pulled. But the problem by now, though, is that it was politicized so much by Trump that people are already in their camps of whether or not if they're not gonna wear masks or
Right.
yeah. So it would have had to. That's something he can't fix.
Like their plan has to be like how to properly fund healthcare and shit like that. Like that's the kind of thing, and you know, whatever people need checks and stuff like that. Like that has to be your plan.
Right.
Your plan can't be just virtue signaling about masks. That's not going to work.
Right. I mean, that's not going to work anymore by now. And the other problem now too is with the vaccine that's forthcoming. People are not, you know, all getting in line ready to go take that vaccine either.
I am. I'm fucking.
I mean,
I'll take the shit out of it.
All right, yeah, you take that shit first, bro, and I'll give you a couple months, see how you do.
I mean, I'm convinced that my allergies are really COVID, so I'm gonna get it tested tomorrow.
Oh,
But
no.
I mean, here's the thing, Lo. Like, that's another thing is like there are a lot of people getting this shit.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, and it's
And my
weird
brother
because
got it.
there are people. Yeah, like, cause like so, two of my uncles got it, and my aunt got it, and both of my uncles died.
Oh,
But
God.
the one uncle
What?
didn't fucking believe in COVID. Like the whole family got it, and they didn't believe in COVID.
And-
Whatever.
Holy shit.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. So, but my uncle that the first one that died, like it was a whole like mess because like he went to the ER like 3 times, and then finally the third time they were like, oh, and this was right when the outbreak was happening. So he had already been whatever was happening because he had diabetes and you know, he was obese. He had comorbidities. But then there's people like kind of like, and I don't know, you know, your guys' personal, you know, health or whatever, but like I'm 37. I have like an autoimmune disorder, but it's not very bad. So like me to catch COVID, it's not going to like, yeah, it's going to put me out, you know what I mean? But it's not going to like discomfort me or whatever. But even if I didn't have COVID and I'm like this, I wouldn't go out. Like, especially without a mask. Even if you feel sick, just don't fucking go out. Don't go out, you know, because the other thing, like, again, it's affecting a lot of people just very mildly. And people think that, you know, they're getting, you know, just like whatever. I mean, I'm going to go get tested tomorrow just because I'll freak myself out if I don't. But a lot of people, you know, I just wasn't.
I had a headache today. I was kind of scared I had it. Isn't that the first headache?
No, but there's just there's so wide a variety of symptoms that if you go and if you start going doing the WebMD shit, you know, going on Google, do I have COVID?
Yeah.
You'll find something that'll line up and be like, all right, well, I have like these 3 things, you know, that might be it. And like here, for me, just because of the situation, I'm over here in El Paso. Just because of how bad it is, I mean, it's got me freaked out. I know that like my mom, she's a nurse in the COVID unit, so that it's a new COVID unit because there's just so many cases that they expanded it to include the whole damn hospital by now. So when you have a situation like that, you are more worried that, all right, you know what, I did go to the store, maybe I caught something, maybe I didn't wash my hands this time, you know, that dude passed by me on the stairwell a little too closely, you know.
I'm worried I caught it at the election because I was working at the poll. Right?
Yeah, and see, like taste. That's the tell. I mean, it's not always the tell. That's a common one. You know, my boy, he got it over here. That was one of the things he got. The no taste, no sense of smell. But that's not always the case. And then, let alone in cases where you're asymptomatic and you don't even know that you're carrying it, and you could risk exposing people that are important to you to it. So,
and look, I'm not gonna lie, you know what I mean? Like I, was at a Halloween party, like, and I kept my mask on the majority of the time, but I was also drinking too. You know what I mean? So it's like it is like I'm not gonna pretend like I've been completely perfect. The entire quarantine. I don't think anybody has.
And that's insane. 3 months.
3 months is, yeah, but it. It's scary because you don't know, and like I work from home. No, like I'll go and see, because we got pulled out of the field, like in March, but then like slowly, like if we felt that like kids needed to be seen, like it was. If we weren't seeing them, they were going to jail or the hospital. We would go out and see them. But I have like a lot of little ones right now, so I'll go out and see them every other week. But I make them come outside. We wear masks. Like we do all of that. So once, because the weather's getting colder, I'm going to end that. But I mean, yeah, like everybody, it's just, it frustrates me because if we would have just shut down for 3 months, give everybody $2,000 a month, give this, you know what I mean?
Well, and then gone ahead with that post office plan too.
Well, it seemed like we did shut down, right? It seemed like we did kind of keep it contained at first, but then people broke containment too quickly because they didn't have any, they didn't have checks, they didn't have anything from the government, so they didn't last very long.
Yeah, I mean, here we have a comment about this. COVID is just going to be the seasonal flu now, and again, I don't see it that way, just because of how other countries have been able to deal with it so much more effectively. And I mean, if you're just going off of that, there's been a uniquely bad response to COVID here, and that's the situation that we're in. It's not like every country that has had a spike or that has had an immediate response that has been competent is out here expecting this thing to reoccur every year, because some of these countries aren't even having cases. So
I think it spiked a lot of places though. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we did handle it badly, but I think a lot of it is also our healthcare system, right?
Right.
Where like you avoid going to get treatment at all costs until the last minute, until you absolutely have to. So people are spreading it.
I said on Twitter, and I was half joking, I said that I was going to call my doctor tomorrow and be dramatic so I could get a test. Because, like, I'm not running a fever, so they're not going to give, you know what I mean? Like, they're not order me a test. So I'm going to be fucking dramatic about it. Not like dramatic. But no, I mean, but that's fucked up. Like, that is, we have, like, the access to tests needs to be bigger. The thing that scares me about, like, the vaccine, which I mean, I'll get, but I've heard, like, that, like, you know, people have, like, said, like, you should wait 6 months, I guess, to see what it does before you make the decision. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, I'm going to, get it. I'm not going to get it if Trump tells me, or is like any administration. But I'll even question Biden's a minute. I mean,
no, for me, I'm just firmly on the side of I won't probably be one of the first ones in line to get it, but I'll get it once I see that it's cleared with the majority of people. And
yeah, I mean, I just want shit to go back to normal. Right? Like, I'm starting to get sick of it now. Like,
yeah,
I actually don't mind staying at home, but I want to like go to shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go to a fucking movie.
Yeah, I miss dancing. I used to go to there was this night in Pittsburgh it was the first Saturday of every month. It was called Titletown Funk and Soul Party. It's been around for like over 10 years, and they played all like funk and soul on 45s. So like 45 records, dude. It was awesome. You should go in there, and it just like felt like you were in a time capsule. And like by
Love
the
that shit.
time like it was like midnight, everybody was on the dance floor, and it was just so like, you know, young and old. It was just like such a varied crowd, like every one. It was just a really, really good time, and I really miss it, because that was like
Yeah.
my one night month where I'm like, I'm gonna get dolled up and dance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Matt. Wasn't I was gonna show you that Vaush vid.
Ooh,
Oh,
what do you
yeah,
think? We should probably ask you about this.
Yeah, we did want to ask you about this thing.
oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I was talking to him because we were on that one show.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I remember. So I went on the timeline. You know, on the show timeline, I get a different feed from my personal one. But on the show one, there was like a good string of tweets that were like, "What the fuck is Vaush?" or Vaush. It was like a string of just anti-Vaush tweets. I was like, "All right, what the fuck did he say?" Because you know the last time that happened is because somebody found a video, an old one from him, saying like that about justifying the use of the N-word. So I was like, all right, what did he do? Or did they just find that video and make a run again? So, but yeah, let me show this thing to you guys and see what y'all think. All right, let's see.
I have seen this one too. Yeah.
All right, let's.
Do you believe porn, which includes bestiality, increases the prevalence of zoophiles? Possibly, but I still don't care. I still think that like zoophile porn, like drawn stuff, it should be 100% legal. In fact, and this is going to be a real hot take, I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child pornography should be illegal. Actual child pornography. How's that for a hot fucking take? Now, to clarify on this take, as I feel it necessary to do so, we do not, in this country, typically criminalize people who have procured media or resources which were the product of abuse. It is not illegal to own necklaces that have slave diamonds or whatever. What are they called? Yeah, blood diamonds. Yeah, all of our clothes produced by sweatshops, our computers with silicon and lithium mined from literal fucking slaves. In our society, we have already deemed that people are not responsible for the mechanisms by which the media they consume and the content they engage with are produced. No. All you're about to make some really dumb fuck arguments. Because you encourage the production of porn? Yeah, and you encourage the slave mining that goes into blood diamonds when you buy the necklaces. You encourage the mining of and the slaves that mine the lithium when you purchase electronics, okay? It is the same thing. Don't come at me with your dumb fuck feels arguments, okay? If you feel you have a cogent argument, levy it my way, but I'm not interested in listening to your fucking feels on the issue. Vaush, bro, you're gonna need a pause. Whoop, look who just got banned. Oh, look who gets fucking banned for saying stupid shit in my channel. I don't tolerate that shit here, nope. Ooh, bruh, you have a point that I can't really argue against, but bruh, you should take a pause, bruh. Ooh, bruh, yikes, bruh, don't like that, bruh. Ooh, bruh. Ooh, bad look, bruh. Big oof, bruh. Fifi bad, feelings hurt. Thank you, Anarcho-Tac. I'm objectively right on this. They're morally identical. The difference being, of course, that there are far more people caught up in the slave labor and exploitation of the developing world than there are children we rape. So if anything, owning child pornography is probably a hell of a lot more ethical than wearing the t-shirts on your backs right now. You like that argument? Ooh, you like that? You like that moral culpability? You're all worse than fucking CP owners, and I am too. Do you like that? No ethical consumption under capitalism. Shit sucks, right? But if we accept that argument for slave labor, then we definitely have to accept it for child pornography. None of it is... Yeah, I agree. None of it is ethical. But we've already made this social decision that people are not responsible for the systems by which the stuff they own is produced. We've already made that decision. You're right, but you're kind of revealing your power level. No, this is exactly what I fucking mean. I'm right, but I'm revealing my fucking pedo power level because I'm right. No, this is a moral inconsistency in society. The answer should be that all of these things are bad.
Okay, yeah. so
I didn't see the extended clip, so this is the first time that I'm seeing the extended clip.
Yeah.
So I always joke around because I say like that I am not like, I guess I'm not like important enough to get into like battles with like people on the left, or I'm just like too stoned and it goes over my head.
Right.
So I try to ignore a lot of that like bullshit. Like I'll make funny comments from time to time. So I didn't really know Vaush and like what his whole deal was when we were on Kenzo's show. It was just like, you know, we just had a conversation or whatever. And I know like him and Cole talked about stuff or something. But so yeah, I saw that. So like I didn't, you know, really know anything about him. Then I saw the thing about like him saying the N-word. And then that started this whole discourse about like when is it okay to say the N-word and all this, you know, just ridiculous fucking shit.
Right.
And then then I saw this, and I was just like, what? Like, this dude is like insane. And then I guess I just like then I started like I started like kind of like looking like down the rabbit hole of, like Vaush, and he's just I obviously highly disagree with him. Owning child pornography is abuse. You are engaging in that child's abuse by owning their pornography.
Right. And I would say, and just to what he's trying to say, he's trying to make an association between child labor and sweatshops and owning clothes versus owning child porn and owning that abuse that created that product, I guess, if you want to call it that. And I mean, you could just that just falls apart on its face when you think about it as, all right, in itself, owning a video like that is fucking repugnant, versus wearing a goddamn shirt is not fucking repugnant in and of itself, you know. And
I'm trying to find that tweet.
Yeah,
somebody debunked it really well, but I can't find it now. Yeah, it's just like because this shitty thing happens, therefore this other shitty thing is okay. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, we don't go out of our way to own material made with slave labor. Just it's no ethical consumption. It's a part of society. Therefore, that doesn't follow that somehow makes other terrible things in society somehow acceptable, or like less objectionable. Like, we're forced to the world that we have, right? Like, we didn't pick this world, right? Like,
yeah, or even, I mean, take it a step further. You don't own a damn shirt from a sweatshop because it's some kind of fucked up predilection that you have, and you get off on wearing shirts that are made from child labor. Like, oh, I just have to have that shirt because it's so gratifying to me because it's made from child labor. Whereas you own a fucking child porn video because you enjoy seeing children get raped. That's exactly what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and it's it's really weird because there are people that get into this conversation about like can sex offenders be treated and things like that. I've worked with like juveniles who sexually offend, and I will say with juveniles, there's a very high rate of there's a very low recidivism rate, meaning that there's a very low chance that they will reoffend if they get sex offender treatment. Adults, I can't really speak on because I've never worked with adults, and but at the end of the day, there needs to be but I don't see a lot of people try to make like pedophilia into this whole like what's a mental health disorder, and if we're just easier, like, no, like, there are children being hurt, you know what I mean? Like, this is still endangerment of a child. You're still raping them, you're still molesting them, like, so yeah. But I think that Vaush, I don't really know how to take people like him at times, because it's like, are they just saying this to get like views? Are they getting, what I mean? Are they saying this
that's a good point. That's a good point. Is it some kind of like edgelord thing where I'm just trying to say the edgiest?
It's a weird flex, though. Like, what do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not. I mean, I don't know who you're appealing to there. Like, that's like, even if you.
No, and I mean the instinct that came to my head. And it's unfounded, but I mean. What's your goal there? Is it to cover your bases as some kind of position that you have a personal interest in? I'll just say it like that. But I mean, who are you appealing to with that kind of a position? If it's not to go ahead and protect some kind of interest that you have personally, or that.
Ooh. Oh, you went there, huh?
Hey, well, look, I'm just saying. Look, I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, wasn't there like discussion that he was like chatting with a 17-year-old girl? I mean, I can't like
look. I don't. Look, I'm like
Twitter is like high school, and I am in the same boat as high school, where I'm just getting stoned outside, and then sometimes I'll say funny things in class, but a lot of times it's just gibberish.
Right. No, I'm not saying by no means am I saying his audience is freaking pedo, but I'm saying why is he saying that? Because I don't think that appeals to. Look, you could tell from his response, from the people that were commenting on his live stream, they weren't liking that shit either. You know, so people that were looking at whatever he had to say, I mean, this isn't something that's gonna appeal. That's not something that's gonna appeal to him.
Well, you can't say something reactionary like that and then block a bunch of people.
We're like, I'm gonna block you. Oh yeah, you didn't like that edgy take. Oh yeah, that's right.
They were just counseling him, right? They were like, dude, don't say that. Like you're gonna get in trouble. Like, and
right.
Man.
Right, it wasn't even like they were going into places like I would just said right now. They were saying, all right, maybe you got to think about that. I mean, you got to think about that a little bit. You know, you got to, take a step back, bro. You know, wait a minute, evaluate what just came out of your mouth a little bit. Yeah, and then you're going from some 0 to, all right, you're blocked. Get out of here.
He gets a lot of views on his videos, man.
He does.
He gets hundreds of thousands of views on his Facebook video and his YouTube videos.
Which, like, I don't know. It's not something just that I've watched like one of his things. He's very like he was super like into Biden, and I just was like,
what did he call himself?
Very condescending too. Like I noticed that during our like interaction on Kenzo's like talk, like where he would like say something, and I just kind of like I didn't back down, but I didn't take him like serious because I don't. Like,
I hope he's on a
list now. I hope he is.
I hope he is.
Yeah, like I have no.
Like I feel like there's something people pass around like every other week of him doing something like
cancelable.
Cancelable, yeah. Like I'm trying to not say cancelable, but yeah.
Yeah, because we've talked about that.
Going up and up.
You know, but we've talked about that, Matt, about cancel culture and the left, and I think
that it hasn't happened to him though.
Well, there's attempts. There's attempts by people, but the thing that I was about to say is, hey, I mean, there's times when I can see things like that more justified than others. You know, I think that there's a tendency to be a little bit more reactionary with every little thing that you talked about, Matt, with the whole sexual preference versus sexual identity, or about that kind of stuff. When you're not as educated on the nomenclature, versus just saying something like, all right, you know what, I can say the N-word to win a debate.
Yeah. There's a difference between what?
Remember that one girl, I forget what her, gun girl or some communist gun girl.
Yeah.
Stuck up for the N-word. Like she was like, well, in certain, it depends.
She was defending him.
Right, that was in defense of Vaush, right?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it depends. No, it doesn't. Bitch, you're white. I'm white. We're not saying it. Like, we're not saying it at all. Like, I don't care. Like, dude, I was talking about Bobby Shmurda, which Trump, because Trump doesn't know what a pardon is, so.
Right.
But Trump, if you're listening, Bobby Shmurda, please let him out of jail.
Well, isn't he? He's set to get released soon, right?
In like a year, but I just think it's funny to ask for a pardon. Yeah, it's my bit right now, asking for pardons for rappers.
Well, I mean, if he really wanted to have gotten that little push before the election, he should have pardoned Snowden too, and Assange.
Yeah, he could have done so many things. He could have done that would have put him over the top. Like I didn't think it was going to be that close, but seriously, if he'd gotten people to checks. If he had arrested Hillary Clinton, if he would have
prosecuted Carol Baskin,
right? Right. So, I mean, some crazy shit like that. It would have been, and that's really one of the things I wanted to bring up to y'all too. Is I kind of like in the reaction from Trump voters now to Hillary voters in 2016, where they had the same kind of knee-jerk reaction where. It was, the system failed my candidate. There was some kind of security thing, like the system fucked them over. No, the voters are stupid. The voters failed my candidate. That's why my candidate lost. These voters are all just racist. That's why they voted for Trump instead of Hillary. Whereas they don't look at the shortcomings on their own candidate, be like, all right, where did my side fuck up? Where that should be that should be the natural progression of things. Would be like, all right, let me check my own shit just a little bit to see what possibly could have gone a little bit more right that my guy didn't do.
They don't
they
have any
have
kind
to
of
do work. They do that.
organizing.
Oh, what's that? What was that?
You froze.
Yeah, both of y'all froze a little bit.
Oh wait, am I here?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I think that would require them to do work, though, right?
Yeah.
Democrats don't want to do work. Like this honestly is like one of the perfect scenarios for them. Well, it would be a perfect scenario actually if they had the Senate, because then they wouldn't have to really, do work
Right,
with,
and
like,
see,
they can do that now actually.
right, and then with the Democrats, what you're seeing now with the shortcomings that we've talked about, what are they doing? They're punching left. And yeah, they're punching left, and then they're saying, "Oh, thank God we had all these moderate Republicans like John Kasich and the Lincoln Project to go ahead and secure our elections." Never mind the fact that the candidates in swing districts were overwhelmingly successful as long as they endorsed Medicare for all or Green New Deal or any one of these progressive policies.
Right, they didn't care. They did not care.
The Hillary voters, though, right? They still had millions more votes than Trump, right? Like,
right.
That's the thing. I feel like it feels kind of cringe that they're fighting over these little margins in the swing states when they were going to lose by like 5 million votes.
Right.
Like, it's not even
Right.
close, right. So
Right.
it's like that's like an extra sore loser. I feel like, not that I'm jazzed for Biden, but like these Trump people are
right.
Like
Right.
really gross.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like, is he? Because as funny as Trump is, I don't want to deal with fucking like a 2-month tantrum. You know what I mean? It's just gonna
And that's what we're looking at. We're staring on the barrel of a 2-month tantrum.
Right, but you know what? Somebody brought up something the other day that, like, how he starts saying, like, he's been saying, like, I'm gonna write a tell-all book and I know secrets and shit like that.
Oh.
Don't kill him.
What if he goes into if he actually reveals?
Yeah,
What
like
would he
he's probably
reveal?
got like, or how much do you think they actually told Trump?
I mean, I like those deep state type secrets, whatever's going, like Area 51 type shit, like the long-standing conspiracies. I think a lot of that would be compartmentalized anyway, so I don't think it's anything that a president just automatically gets briefed on. But he wasn't. But here's the thing, though.
He didn't even go to his briefings, though,
Right? And but I think he would go to that briefing. Remember what he was beforehand. He was one of these, crazy ass conspiracy theorists that would go pal around with Alex Jones. So if he knew about lizard people, I'm pretty sure that was one of the first things he would pop out. But
Bohemian Grove, full of lizard people. Yeah, he would tell us if he thought he could weaponize it somehow. He would have told us in the election, though. So I don't know how much more he knows.
Right,
I think he does know enough about like international diplomacy. Like he knows that, like, basically like what the left knows, right? Like he knows it's like, the military-industrial complex is like the greatest evil in the world, just perpetrating like horrific like crimes all over the world. So I think he could probably say shit like that, but I don't know if he would be to his advantage, right? He would have to, actually reform the government if he ran again on that kind of message.
See, I don't think he wants to run again. I don't think Trump wanted to win in the first place.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that last part. I don't think he was expecting or really wanted to win. I think he wanted to boost up his profile. But I think once he got a taste of that power, that he wants to keep it. That's why he wants to hold on to it. Yeah. So I could see him running again in 2024. I could see him probably giving it one cycle off and going in 2028. But because the main part of it is he still retains the loyalty of at least a substantial number of the Republican base, and with knowing that he has that going forward, and I mean the weak ass field that you could just see forming up on the Republican side. I mean, why wouldn't he? And
Yeah.
not for nothing.
Trust the model.
Like we talked about it, without COVID to worry about, if Biden's presidency is a return to normal, and not to mention if Biden doesn't even want to run again, who's to say
They
he
have to
can't?
do something.
Who's to say he can't
Democrats
win?
have to do something. Like there's the only way they can do it is if they don't do what they did under Obama. They have to do something for the people. Like they have to show the people that they can be decent, right? Like because Trump was a lot of talk, but he didn't do anything for anybody. So if you can actually improve people's conditions at all, you will have a lot better shot to beat whoever the right puts up in 24.
Yeah.
But I do think Trump would be the strongest candidate. He'd be the hardest to beat.
Yeah. So
Tucker.
See, Kamala versus Trump.
So I'm saying
Trump would destroy her.
I think Trump would smoke her unless he did something
She
good.
is not a good candidate.
Unless they did something good though, like if they did like a Green New Deal, right, and it helped people and people got jobs. No, that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing they can do is something good. If they don't do anything good. But
that's
like you were saying before, like they need the progressives. They need to do something good.
Well, yeah. I mean, to that point, Matt. Though, I kind of come down on the side that I don't want to see Bernie take another run at it again. Somebody needs to go ahead and step up into that position and fill that progressive candidate slot, whether it's one person or multiple people going ahead and being that candidate for us to rally around. Somebody has to do it. We cannot just rely on Bernie to carry that banner anymore.
Right.
What if Chuck Schumer gets based?
What if he gets bait? Like I already think with Schumer, he's just pissed scared of AOC taking his seat.
I know, but that means we got 2 years of him being a badass.
Oh yeah, because he's scared to lose the seat now. I mean, that's the issue. That's what's scary is that like we don't have a progressive candidate right now that I see that's as powerful as Sanders. But again, I think that Sanders. I think that movement, it was there to be there. Because another thing, too, is that, like, I'm very convinced that, because a couple of my friends have said this, like, that Sanders, if he would have even gotten into the presidency, they would have killed him. Like, that it would have been, like, that I don't know. Do I sound crazy?
No, I don't think you sound crazy at all. I don't know the lengths that they would have gone to stop Bernie if they couldn't have gotten it done electorally.
I'm not saying the Democratic Party would kill. I'm not saying
no, but
but
I mean, there's so many vested interests against what he represents that it wouldn't just have had to have been his own party that would have something mysteriously happen. You would just suddenly get another heart attack out of the blue. It would. It really wouldn't have had to have been something like that, But going forward, if we're looking at another candidate like that, I mean, I hope they take lessons away from what they did to Bernie as far as messaging, as far as making him the enemy and alienating him and trying to tear him down using a variety of tactics. Whoever takes up that mantle has to be aware of that and has to be ready to go ahead and fight back against that in some kind of effective way.
Yeah, because I'm not doing shit for them. I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah, and I mean, the two names I keep hearing around from leftist circles are just Nina Turner and AOC to go ahead and run in 2024. And
I mean, here's what the problem is with Nina though, is that they will, and they're gonna get on her shit for this. Is that she does not have, like, she was a senator, but she wasn't a senator for that long. And leftists are also going to have to come to like terms with, if you like it is more than okay to critique candidates and critique your politicians. I think that it is right. I critique AOC a lot because I'm canceling her and I'm not ever gonna fuck with her. No, when she does good shit, I'd say good shit. You know what I mean? But a lot of, like, when Nina Turner did the whole when she had John Kasich on her podcast, like, it was dumb as hell. Like, I was like, why? Like, that
Did you
doesn't
listen
make
to
me
it? I never listened to that.
Nina Turner. But I think
What
that
they talk about?
I think they were talking about like because they worked on like police reform or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't listen to it, but I know that like she got a lot of shit about it. But I think that she could be a really strong candidate, but here's the other thing. The Democratic Party hates her.
Right.
Yeah.
Hates her. And even though they're the identity politics, you know, like they will beat her, down. I mean, look what they did to her.
Now, right. I mean, look what they did to her and Brianna Joy Gray now.
Yes.
Without her actually being the candidate. They used her as a conduit to attack Sanders so much. You know, and
Like I mean,
right, go ahead, Matt.
It's gonna depend on who uses their power for good in the next couple of years. It's gonna depend on if the Democrats and the squad, the expanded squad, if they can marshal their power effectively and get something done, then I think the front runner will be somebody in Congress, right? Somebody, you know, not necessarily AOC. It depends. Maybe Jayapal or Ro Khanna or someone like that will step up.
And the hell with it, run all of them. Run all of them out there on the field too.
And if they're not getting anything done, I think that people are going to look to the local activists who are getting stuff done locally and see who takes over from there. It could be somebody from out of the blue who's not, in politics now.
Yeah.
It all depends on where there's progress happening.
Yeah, and for me personally, if there's not a progressive candidate up there in 2024, I'll tune out to the presidency. I mean, I'll just, I won't really care too much. I won't be vested in that aspect of politics if there's not a progressive to rally around.
You say that, but it'll be something where it'll be like, you gonna just Tom Cotton's gonna send us all to all right, whatever.
No. Like I was taking
point though. We're gonna hear that every 4 years.
Of course,
every 4 years.
Of course.
And Brianna Joy Gray said one of the strategies that people are that people aren't willing to do is hold their vote.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a dangerous tactic, but
it just has to be coordinated better.
I think it does. Because it does too. Because like I was in technically you wanted to call it a swing state this time with Texas. It was supposed to have a chance to go to Biden. I didn't vote for him. I'm not sorry I didn't vote for him because look, every time I've seen Hillary Clinton open her fucking mouth about Bernie since she lost, I've just been baffled with myself for voting for her in the first place, and I'm not going to carry that with me. Whatever.
Gotta be,
whatever.
Gotta do some stuff. They've got to reach out, or else they're going to be an ineffectual, terrible party with no connection to any kind of like the next generation or any kind of like on the ground activism. They are going to have to be cool, and if they're not, they're going to lose. They're going to lose badly, and they're going to, be irrelevant in 4 years. Right.
Hello, Paul. All right, let's see. We got a comment here. See what y'all think. There we go. What are your views on universal fiscal salvage trends?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. I can't say I do. Sorry.
What? What is that?
What are you talking about? We acknowledged you. Why are your feelings hurt? All right, dude. Whatever.
I'm on one of the least informed podcasts, the worst we get. So I don't really. I only know. I always joke. I know like 5 or 6 different subjects.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of it, than everything else. I just.
Yeah, well, I mean,
fiscal salvage, is that like MMT? Is that? I mean, because, we're socialists. Like, money's fake. Like they print the shit. So that about covers my,
extent,
my theories on currency.
Right. Well, just to go back and talk to what you were saying, Maria. For me, on this show, we talk about AOC a little bit too damn much. So, but the reason we see, and look, I'm not gonna go ahead and say that. I'm gonna say the same thing that you said. AOC is not above reproach. Of course, when she does something shitty, then you criticize her for doing something shitty. But the problem that I have is a lot of the critiques that I see are mainly about what she says rhetorically. It's not something about what she stepped out of the progressive wing on in regards to policy. If she goes and votes for a military budget, yeah, I'll be right there with you critiquing that she voted for a military budget. If she calls Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear, for all I give a goddamn, call her whatever you want. Just go ahead and support the primary opponent that she's when she's on the other side of it. Get rid of that incumbent.
Well, and I hear you because listen, I'm guilty of that, and that's this emotional mind versus like wise mind, like this, because there's still emotion behind all of this, right? Like, and people do get angry when she plays ball. And even I get angry when she plays ball, and maybe I really shouldn't. I think it's just because I want her to just continue to fight, and she is right now, and I have to give her that.
She's been so badass.
Yeah.
How could you?
But since the election, she
yes,
has,
and I think that she played that pretty damn well when she was all for the team, get rid of Trump, and as soon as he was gone, she turned and flipped around and started saying the shit that she's been saying, which is good. But on the other hand, too, it's also important to get those same lib voters that would not be in her court if she's constantly antagonistic towards these candidates that they revere. If she's always out there shit talking Pelosi or Schumer or any of these people that they've boosted up in mainstream media, even if like
her replies, it's still hard to tell who's real and who's a bot though, because they have so many bots that just like shitlib bots. You know, they're just repeating the same centrist talking points. But you look at her replies and it's a bunch of like people like with K-Hive stuff in their profile and all, like, just why are you so divisive? Like, this is not the time for this. Like,
when is the time for it?
They're so dumb because it's not even like you're not engaging with her critiques at all. You're not engaging with the things that she's talking about. You're just replying at this like idiotic, shutdown, and it's like I feel like they're the type of people who are on the internet. I'm starting to think that more and more that like, there's professional liberals, but like there's not like these random people on the internet. I feel like there's a lot less of them than you'd think, right?
Yeah, like, because like the professional libs are not going to go and they're not going to care what she has to say. They're going to go out there and call her divisive regardless. But if she goes out there and does like a yes queen tweet for Kamala and then at the same time talks about why we need Medicare for all, I'm not going to be mad at her for doing that either, because it'll get them at least to listen for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have a good point. I think that, again, this was a very, I think, difficult election for everybody on the left, because it was so weird. I mean, we didn't celebrate. Like, I was happy that Trump is out. I think it's hilarious that he's going to have to, but I'm not happy
the
either.
The MAGA tears make me happy.
Yeah, like the MAGA tears are awesome. But I also I did not feel well Saturday. Like I didn't feel like an ounce. I didn't feel hope. Exactly. I got like scared. I just, if they do something in the next 4 years, okay, then tickle me pink, whatever the fucking saying is, and I'm wrong about the Democrats or whatever, but I just don't see it, because they're already telling me tons of things like, okay, we'll take care of $50,000 of your student loan debt. Well, technically, I'm supposed to get my student loan debt forgiven if I pay like after 10 years because I'm a social worker. Okay, there's 17 hoops to jump. Obama passed that, right? There's like 17 hoops to jump through just to get that. Jeez. And you have to reapply, and they kick you out, and then this payment doesn't count, and then this payment doesn't count. It is so absolutely ridiculous. I am over $150,000 in debt from a master's degree at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm a social worker, and I know, yes, I decided that was going to be my career, and you knew that like you weren't going to make money, whatever. But I don't care if you went to school to, I know attorneys that make less than me that paid more.
Yeah.
Like it is absolutely ridiculous the amount that
There's no
school
fucking
loans
jobs.
are.
It's so expensive, and then there's no jobs anymore either. Is the thing. It's like we're paying all this, and then it's just the job market is just so bad, and they're just making it worse. It's just
Right.
The diminishing rate of profit.
Right. I mean, that's the price of setting up a gig economy.
Right.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what
the
they're
one
gonna do.
thing that like I
Like,
know is that yeah. Like, but one thing I know is I'll have a job always. I mean, I'm lucky for that. Like, because there's always gonna have to be some so ridiculous. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting tired. It's 1:22 and on the east.
Yeah, we'll probably go ahead and sign off right now in a little bit. Unless you have something else y'all wanted to go ahead and go over.
Well, I want to. I kind of want to own this guy in the chat.
Oh wait, what's he saying? I can't see the chat.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them now. Why do you think?
Oh, look, there's 2. There's like 3 of them now. Oh, come on. Look, you got to come to terms with it. Look, I know y'all are in that denial phase, but progress to the next ones.
People. You look worse than the Hillary
it's
people.
a bunch of
At
like
least
liberal.
Hillary. At least Hillary had 3 million more votes. Like, no matter what, he still had like 5 million less votes than the other guy. So, like, I don't know what you're exactly arguing about. That there's hundreds of thousands of forged ballots
yet.
to make it so that you only lost by 4.9 million and not 5 million. It just it's so beta. Like,
okay,
just.
Let me explain to these people. Listen, I felt the same way that you did.
There's
first
so many
time
ballots
that
that
Bernie.
have been rigged, Karen.
Yeah.
So many. It's not easy to do. There's so many ballots.
Yeah.
Like my ballot, I was a poll worker, and we had 300 at our place, and it was a stack like this fucking big. Like, it's 10,000 ballots is a lot of ballots. It's like not something you can just like shove in there when no one's looking. It's just It's insane the scale of the thing you're picturing here, and 600,000 votes for proof. Where the fuck did you hear that from? Because you sound like a psycho. Like, you don't sound like a normal person saying that. Nobody believes that.
Like, it's just, guys, Trump
I know
lost,
Hillary wasn't a good person. It doesn't mean that fucking you could like just say what you want to believe about the like fraud here and there. It's not how it works. Just because they're both shitty, just because Hillary's shitty doesn't make Trump good, and vice versa.
It doesn't make. Yeah, they both.
They think it's like, oh, she's fake. That means that my guy's good. It's like, no, they're both bad. Nobody's fighting for you. That's what you have to do. Your fucking skulls.
Yeah.
I hate when they do that because they're like, well, what about Hillary? I'm like, I fucking hate her too, dude. I hate both parties equally.
Yeah.
I think that they're both pieces of shit. There's a couple Democrats that I fuck with. That's it. Really.
Yeah.
Like, it's always an attempt. Like, they got to calm down. Like, you guys have to calm down and understand that, we would like a good quality of life as well. We just don't agree with the way that you want, like with Trump and shit. But he's not. He lost. Grandpa Biden's in.
Yeah.
By the way, Biden is basically a Republican too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Biden. You guys
all
should
the shit they
actually
tell you on OAN.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you guys should actually like Biden because he's actually a
fucking-
Republican. He's a competent Republican.
Yeah,
He's not,
exactly.
well, I mean, he's losing his mind, but he says funny things, and I mean, he's not as funny as Trump though.
Yeah,
But-
that's
Yeah,
true.
it's
Well,
gonna be so
it is
boring.
funny when he
Biden's so
stumbles over
boring.
stuff and loses his place, but
Yeah, he's gonna be one of those presidents.
yeah, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
did not watch.
He's gonna be so
no.
boring. They're gonna like. I'm nervous about what the mainstream media is gonna make their storylines up. Right? They're gonna have to make drama to have something to
Somehow.
talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like they're gonna milk this like inter-Democrat schism for as much as they can, and then they're gonna make it like like culture war shit where they're gonna be constantly talking about like Proud Boys and stuff.
Yeah,
like, it's
I
gonna
could
be
see
stuff
that
like
happen. And then,
that.
of course, you're not going to get the coverage that we had of like the civil unrest or with the cop when a cop does some evil shit
Oh,
again.
no, that's never
because
gonna be
racism was
like-
cured, I guess, for a lot of these people.
Yeah, racism is cured now because we have a black VP.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, everybody. We're going to sign off there from our 3 platforms. Anybody on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Y'all on Twitch, if you're not following us, follow us already. On Twitter, make sure you look for Maria out there at Sandernista412. You can see her username on the bottom of the screen there. And
What
yeah,
show are you doing? Do you have anything else to plug?
Oh, yeah. Did you want to plug something?
yes, I'm sometimes co-host on my friend Andrew's podcast called. We're on Spotify and Apple and all where you can. Yeah. So
What's
so
it called
the
again?
worst
You got
week
broken
yet.
up a little bit.
It's
Worst
called the
week yet?
worst week yet. Yeah. So I've already been on. Well, I guess 3 episodes already. So I'm
Awesome.
his sometimes co-host. I tell people he does all the magic and the editing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
He's like a really, really funny kid. Andrew Hillary. He's also on Twitter. I don't know his tag name, but we're the worst week yet is also on Twitter.
I should look into it.
At worst week yet. Yeah, we did like 2. Well, we did like 2 episodes, and we just talk about stuff that happened over the week. So like our first episode, we talked about the Rob Kardashian hologram.
Oh,
The Robert Kardashian hologram.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like we talk about like a lot of like politics stuff.
You had Rob Kardashian just roll out there like he was Tupac on stage.
Yeah, so like there was like a discussion of who, but I did the latest episode. I did give my list of presidential pardons that I think that Trump should pardon, and then we figured out towards the end of it that none of us knew what a pardon really was, but that was good. So yeah, it's a good show.
That's why I want him to accept it. I want him to accept that he lost, so he starts doing like crank shit. You know, so he starts like pardoning sickos and stuff.
Yeah, like I think he should just seriously, like, if I were Trump, like I would just pardon like a bunch of people, and even if sorry, you can't pardon because you have to have a federal crime to be pardoned.
Well, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise,
so,
it has to be like a
Bobby
governor
Shmurda
thing.
can't be not primary.
He pardoned
Pardons, like Corey C. Miller, Murder Miller from No Limit Records.
He can't.
His conviction should be overturned. I also think that Tay K should get another trial. I learned about Tay K from a long time ago from these kids in juvenile detention that I worked with. But yeah, he was like a juvenile. But yeah, I'm exhausted right now. So.
But yeah,
it's some rapper kid.
All right, Matt.
Oh
yeah. Do you want to raid somebody?
Let's see. I don't know. Let's see who's on.
What's raid mean?
It means you get to roll over whoever's in the chat on Twitch to somebody else's stuff, so they get a little bit of a boost. We like to pay it forward.
See, I don't know any of these things. Like, I like need people to teach me stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know any of this stuff. Matt is the one that is more social media savvy. And like with me, I just kind of put together the software and like little video editings and all the dress up stuff.
I mean, I could do the Chapo channel, but they're playing Counter-Strike.
Oh.
And that other guy, that Prime Case guy, he's on. I don't know who else is on right now.
It's all right, bro. We'll just sign it off this time. But all right, everybody.
The Prime Case.
Yep.
Hold on, it's going in 10 seconds.
All right.
Yeah, have fun over there. Say what's up from us. Tell us guys soon.